Hi, and welcome to the Big Deep Podcast. Big Deep is a podcast about people who have a connection to the ocean. People for whom that connection is so strong, it defines some aspect of their life.
Over the course of the series, we'll talk to all sorts of people. And in each episode, we'll explore the deeper meaning of that connection. In this episode, we speak to someone with an incredible passion for the ocean as she tells the story of one of the most intense dives she's ever done. Hello, this is Paul Kellaway.
And I'm Jason Elias.
Welcome to the Big Deep Podcast.
I first met Colleen when she certified my wife to dive. My wife and I had written our own vows for our wedding, and we didn't tell each other what those vows were going to be. So I was really surprised when one of her vows was to get certified to go scuba diving, particularly because I'm such a big diver, but I knew she was hesitant to do it because of her fear of sharks. So a year after we got married, she went in to get certified at a local dive shop, and that's where she met Colleen McKinnel, the dive master at the shop. Over the course of her certification, her and Colleen became very close friends. So I sat down with Colleen to talk with her about one of the most amazing dives she's done in Fiji with tiger sharks. As you know, I'm a photographer, and I shot for Shark Week, and one of my experiences was in Tahiti, swimming with a 17-foot tiger shark, which, wonderful, but for me was far outside the bounds of anything I'd ever done in my entire life. Can you tell me a little story about your tiger shark experience?
Sure. So it absolutely is. It's a mind-boggling experience. It's hard to even put it into words. It is a dive in Fiji out in Benga Lagoons. So we went down to a coral wall spot. Essentially picture an arena in front of you, open water. You're about 70 feet down. You're kneeling behind a coral wall that they've built up. There's fish in the water, and in the water immediately there's already large jacks, trevallies, all kinds of little triggerfish. Fish of every size and every shape, and essentially a wall of fish in front of you. More fish than I've ever seen. So there's so many fish eating all little tiny bits of debris in the water that the dive masters have brought down. So the diver to my left, she's a little bit nervous, so she's grabbing onto my arm and squeezing it because the sharks at this point start to show up. So there were black tips, there were nurse sharks, there were bulls, lemons, and then finally the tigers showed up. There were actually 3 tiger sharks. All of them were over 12 feet long, so between 12 and 14 feet. To me, they seemed like 17 feet, but I was told by the dive master they were 14 feet. So as the dive goes on, we're only down there about 5 minutes at this point, but bigger and bigger fish are showing up. And it starts to get more and more frenzied. So at first it's just the smaller fish eating, swimming around, then the bigger fish are darting in and out. Trevallies bigger than I've ever seen, like 4.5 feet. I mean, they're insane. The sharks start to show up and they are darting in and out. It's complete and utter chaos at this point. Like, I remember looking up and thinking, this is insane. This is absolutely insane. There's so many fish darting around. Fish are bumping into the small fish. The sharks, for the most part, are out in the distance, not too close. But as the feed gets on, more and more fish is in the water, so the sharks start to get closer and closer. As the energy increased, as more and more fish showed up, all of a sudden you're in the middle of a fish battle and you're trying not to get bumped in the head by one of the fish trying to get a piece. At one point, the pieces of fish are flying over your head and the sharks are over your head eating, so you're ducking down, and they literally came close enough every single time as they passed by the wall that they could have bit me or the diver next to me. And I just remember thinking, this is absolute chaos. But it was absolutely incredible that as they're swimming by, you could look into their eyes and just see the power and the beauty and the majesty of such an amazing creature. And it was just sobering. It was absolutely heart-stopping because you see how strong they are and how powerful, and yet how calm. And I just remember thinking, it's just absolutely magical to be down there with these animals.
Yeah, I think one of the things I find interesting, particularly about those kind of experiences, I've had a number of sharks never as crazy as the video footage of what I saw you doing, but is that those particular kinds of dives are not probably for everyone. That's at one of the extremes of human experience, and maybe even one of the more extremes of diving. What a feeling did it evoke in you that made it so amazing? Was it fear? Was it adrenaline? Was it power, magic? What was it?
That's a really good question. When I did the tiger shark dive, it's hard to express what really it was that drove me to do that. I think the biggest thing for me, the reason why I wanted to do the dive was because I love sharks. I love the idea of being with these incredible sharks and doing an experience that's world renowned. I'm not an adrenaline junkie, but there is something to be said for anything having to do with an animal. I'm pretty much all in. Any kind of dive where I have the opportunity to come face to face with an animal that many people go their whole lives without getting to see. Getting to experience looking an animal like that in the eye. That's why I did it. So yes, there was a lot of fear involved. There was a lot of, this is not safe. And yet this is one of the most amazing experiences that show us what life is. You think I'm living in this moment because you're not thinking about what bills you're paying. You're not doing the day-to-day grind. It's a completely mind open. I am living. In this moment, the world is right in my face, and I am living life to the fullest.
What is it to you? What does it mean to be a diver?
For me, being a diver, it's a part of who Colleen is. It's a piece of my heart. The sense of awareness and respect that I have for the ocean is because of who I am when I'm underwater. But being a part of a world that's so magical, and then coming out of it and thinking, I want to protect that so that we always have that. So even if I'm not the best ocean advocate and I'm not out there with posters every weekend, I am an advocate, and I have to live my life knowing that choices I make do affect the ocean. It's an incredible world that I feel lucky to be a part of.
Finally, we often end our interviews by asking our guests a single open-ended question. What does the ocean mean to you?
So for me, the ocean is a place of excitement, place of mystery. There's always something new. You just never know in diving what you're going to see. That inability to know exactly makes the ocean a powerful place. It makes the ocean like unknown wild land. To feel like I'm in this place that I shouldn't be. And I'm next to these beautiful, majestic animals. And to, in a way, like show them the respect that I feel they deserve and appreciate the beauty that you can't do unless you're right next to the animal living in that environment. To be able to get into that unknown wildland and never know what you're going to find is intoxicating.
Thank you for listening to the Big Deep podcast.
Next time on Big Deep.
And all of a sudden, all the reef fish that we were looking at migrated over to us and started inhabiting us like we were a new reef structure. I mean, the little fish were swimming up to my mask.
We really appreciate you being with us on this journey into the Big Deep as we explore an ocean of stories.
If you like what we were doing, please make sure to subscribe, like, and comment on our show in iTunes, Overcast, SoundCloud, or wherever you catch your podcasts. But those subscribes and likes really make a difference.
For more info on our guests, extra audio and photos, as well as updates on anything you've heard, you can find a lot more content at our website, bigdeep.com.
Plus, if you know someone you think we should talk to, just let us know at the Big Deep website, as we are always looking to hear more stories from interesting people who are deeply connected to our world's oceans.
Thanks again for joining us.